kind of feel like I've just found the Holy Grail. Flipping idiot. Recently, I caught up with World Tour nutritionist Tim Podlogar and found out that pros are eating way more food than we ever thought possible. In fact, some are eating up to 160 grams of carbs per hour during races.
That is a lot of food, and in real terms, that's the equivalent to 5 bananas an hour, and in a race, which would be around 5 to 6 hours, that's 30 bananas.
I mean, when you look at it in front of you, that is pretty crazy, but I thought I'd put this new theory to the test and see if it actually works. So I planned a long ride, pushing my body and my gut to its limits to see if I'll experience any increase in performance, and maybe if it will help you at home too.
So you get ready for this?
Not entirely sure. I've had years of training though.
I'm a little bit worried for you.
The route I've chosen for our experiment is 115 kilometres long. Starting and finishing in Bath, we'll head west to the Severn Estuary before riding back across the Mendip Hills. A typical route here in the southwest of England, close to GCN HQ. Okay, Tim, so I was really interested to catch up with you and hear how professional cyclists are now just really looking to up their carb intake per hour. So say I was going to go out on a 4 or 5 hour ride, what would you like to see me try and eat, and what do you think is possible?
Yeah, I think you could go with 160 grams per hour easily, like perhaps 120 for the first 2 hours and then just try and go to around 160.
Okay.
And I've known people that have done it even more than this and they were perfectly fine, so yeah, go for it.
So what about like 200 grams an hour?
I think you should be, it's possible, you just need to be really highly trained to build a tolerance to be able to get this amount of carbs in.
Okay, well I'm going to give it a go. I'll go to 160, then maybe up it to 200 for 1 hour and see how I get on. Slightly nervous as well though. What's going to go wrong if this does go wrong? What's the potential?
Just gut issues. But when they appear, I guess there is no point in going super high anymore because that just means that carbohydrates are undigested in the intestines.
Okay.
Whereas if you can tolerate it, that's perfectly fine to go as high as you want. The worst case scenario is that the recovery will be really good.
Okay, so good recovery, and maybe I do a bit of a Tom Dumoulin impression. Cheers, Tim. Only one way to find out how it goes. One ride, 115 kilometres, the sort of distance that we both would have done on a training ride or maybe a race back in the day.
Yeah, I'm going to be eating normally, but Conor is going to be upping things considerably.
Yeah, I'm aiming for 160 to 200 grams of carbs per hour, a number which previously I'd have thought would have led me to sit on the toilet rather than the upper echelons of my physical performance. We are going to dive into the science a little bit in this video on why this might work for you and for us, but if you want a deeper dive, do check out our chat with Tim Podlogar, which is up on the channel now.
We are going to be putting the high carb diet to the sword. We're going to be doing a 5-minute power test at the start and at the end of the ride, and then we're going to compare our power. We are riding with power so we can analyse all the ride.
Yep, first though, it's time to head off and it's testing time. Time to find a massive hill, Manon. Let's do it.
Can't wait.
Coach Conor is on the roll. Right, we've had our warm up, we're ready to go. Time for 5 minutes, all out, see what we can do. And then we'll reconvene on this climb, do the same test after I've eaten a lot of food and you've had what you normally have, and we'll see where the differences lie. First, though, a bit of suffering.
Let's do it.
Woo. Right,
Ready,
here we
Conor?
go.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Nearly lost the gel. 5 minutes done. Oh, I have no idea what the power was, but that's the control put down.
That was pretty tough.
It's a bit of a classics climb, wasn't it?
Just a little
bit.
bit.
Of everything, a bit rolly, bit of corners, bit of cow poo, bit of sprinting.
Yes.
but we've got our 5 minutes established, so I managed 438 watts average.
Happy with that?
I'm happy with that,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty
on
good
that sort of
going.
climb.
Yeah, I did 276 watts.
Nice one.
But yeah, happy.
Sweet, okay, so those are our numbers. Now we're gonna head out, we're gonna do a long ride, 4 hours plus, have some fun, do some hard efforts, mix it up a bit.
Eat some food.
Eat a lot of food. So we'll get eating, we'll come up here, and we'll see how the legs have coped. Right, let's crack on.
Let's do it.
Woo.
Let's go, Connor.
I'm gonna be like a 6-year-old at a children's party.
I know, full of sugar.
In the soft play centre.
Bouncing off the walls.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna get stuck in the slide. Strawberry and lime gel. 40 grams of carbs to the tally. Putting it into my little rubbish pile on the side there. Got a system going. This is the nutrition bag. More on that later.
So I'm on my second bit of food. I've had a chocolate pancake, which was lovely. And now on a Go Energy Bake, which I think is another 30 grams of carbs. Yeah, so that brings me up to 60 within the first hour. But Connor has actually just dropped a wrapper and, being a good citizen, gone back to pick it up. Good work, Connor.
Yeah, got to take everything home with us. It's gonna be quite a lot.
Including your guts.
We're an hour in though, so I've managed 160 grams so far of carbs. There's a whole bottle of mix, 2 gels, now I'm into the second hour, so I need to do it all again.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but this is probably the easiest hour. It's only going to get harder from here, Connor.
What, my tummy or my legs?
Everything.
Everything. Oh, the sun is out. It's a beautiful day to crap your pants. I've had to stop to fill up my second bottle of better fuel, so full of carbs, 80 grams of carbs in one bottle.
That's a lot.
I'm trying to do one of those every hour, plus my gels and my bars. So I think it's safe to say I'm not just eating bananas on this ride.
That wouldn't be good.
Instead, I'm going for Freshest better fuel, which basically has the right ratio of fructose and maltodextrin, which allows my body to get those carbs on board without causing any gastric issues, hopefully.
Yeah, and I'm going to be trying to eat around 60 grams of carbs, which is kind of like the norm for me when I was racing or training. And me and Connor are both kind of going to be having the same kind of stuff. I'm going to opt for a bit more real food as well. So I've got this chocolate pancake, which is around 30 grams of carbs. I've got these chews, which are 46 grams of carbs, the Go Energy Bake, and the Go Energy Bar, which are around 30 grams as well. But Connor is going to try and eat a lot more than me. Okay, we've made it to the coast and we're 47 kilometres in, and I can confirm, Connor, you've got some form today. You are absolutely buzzing.
I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I'm feeling good.
We did have a big tailwind though, so that might help.
Yeah, I'm slightly nervous of that as well, but it is a rare occurrence. I'm keeping on top of things, getting what I need to eat in my belly, keeping track of my strategy. Worth pointing out, it's not all plain sailing because we have been thinking about the practical aspect of this.
Yes.
There's a lot of food to carry, potentially quite expensive if you're going to do it every single day. And it is slightly awkward, the fact that, well, if I was racing, I'd have a support team to refill my bottles. I don't, so I'm having to stop a good bit and refill every hour, which is a bit tough. But
even I'm struggling to carry. I mean, I've got snacks in my saddlebag and my jersey pockets are all full with food, and I've got some down here as well. So yeah, you've had to bring your bar bag on board
just to meet requirements.
Carry everything.
But the ride continues. We're not at the end of it yet, so we can't draw conclusions too soon.
Nope.
I could come crashing down. It's a weird feeling, having this much energy. Feeling pretty good actually. It's on my 4th stop to fill up bottles. So I've sent Manon for some water. I don't want to stop too long though, because I feel I need to keep moving. I want to keep this as realistic as possible, but it is a bit frustrating to have to stop and fill your bottles up again. I think I'm feeling good enough to up the carbs to 200 because I'm feeling no ill effects. So I think now it's time to like squeeze it out. Because basically what happens is you have your glycogen stores that are there for 2 hours. So I was carving up yesterday, getting some pasta, rice, porridge oats in, but now that's starting to go for my muscles. So you don't need to eat as much at the start, but towards the end you can really up your carb intake because that's what you're relying on for your energy. Yeah. So now, if I do that, who knows, I might go faster at the end of the ride. Manon's trying to say I'm being silly, but I kind of feel like I've just found the Holy Grail. I just haven't been eating enough. Flipping idiot. This whole theory behind starting to eat more on the bike really developed in the Giro d'Italia when Chris Froome stomped away solo to take a pretty emphatic victory over the Col de Finestra. It was a long move solo and he was fueled by better fuel. So that's really when the buzzword started being shared amongst other cyclists and professional cyclists. Until we get to the point where we're at now, where Tim Podlogar is saying you could take upwards of 140, 160 grams per hour. To put that into context, the recommended gram per body weight is around 1 gram per kilo. Today I've taken it up to 2 grams per kilo, so almost doubled it.
But one question I do have is, do you think you could actually eat and drink that much in a race? Because riding along today is, quite casual, but when you're in a race at full gas, do you think you could cram that much into you?
It would be really hard, and you really have to concentrate. Even today, it's been like a couple of times I've forgotten just because
you have to remind yourself all the time.
Yeah, it's so much food. And I think to do that every single day, it really would be a challenge. And it is going against my preconceptions too, because when I was racing, I was almost trying to limit my carbs when I was training, and you get carried away with the ride, be out in the mountains, you forget to eat and be like, oh, forget about it. And thinking back, so many of my rides ended with me feeling super tired.
Yeah, know how that feels. So Conor's just stopped for his 15th wee of the ride. If he was in a race, he would definitely be dropped just because he has to stop to wee so much. For a very tall bloke, he has a very small bladder. I mean, he is drinking quite a lot, to be fair to him.
Okay, right then, back at the scene of the crime. The proof's gonna be in the pudding, Manon. Excuse the pun.
I'm feeling quite fatigued at the minute. Not as fresh as I felt this morning. How do you feel?
I feel a lot better than I normally would.
That's good.
At the end of a long ride, especially now that I don't train as much. I feel fresher, I felt consistent throughout the ride. I maybe did overcook things a little bit in that last hour when I upped it, and I did feel slightly sick for one moment, but then just backed off, had a bit of water, felt okay. But it's time to see how we'll go on the climb, because it could also be in my head.
Yeah,
so,
it could be. You might set off and
the legs might just not have it.
No.
It is an intense effort going hard for 5 minutes, and it's a perfect way of seeing how your body copes with an endurance effort, see if you can replicate that 5 minutes at the start of the ride and at the end.
Yep, your guts have held up quite well actually. You haven't been farting or anything behind.
Strong guts, I tell you.
Yeah.
I did fart a few times, but...
Did you actually?
So,
Connor.
I was like sitting in the salad a bit more at the end. Anyway, enough of that, let's do it. Shall I go first?
Yeah, we'll do a bit of an interval. Give you a head start.
Okay, stagger start. Okay,
Do you
right.
want to count you in?
Go on then.
In 3, 2, 1, off you go.
All right, I'm off.
Guess I'll count myself in. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
You right, Manon?
Oh, that hurt.
Good
Just
effort.
as much as this morning.
Fair play, thanks for not killing me.
That's all right.
How'd you get on?
I'm actually quite surprised with my results. I was 276 this morning, 271 just now.
Okay.
I thought I was gonna be
That's decent.
like way like 250, 240 maybe, because of how I felt. I was like, oh, I'm quite fatigued. This isn't gonna go well, but yeah, surprised. How did you get on?
That's only 1% difference then.
Yeah.
That's fair play. So I did 394 watts in my
what were you
5
this
minutes.
morning?
So it's around 436,
Ooh.
I believe.
Okay.
So quite a big difference actually.
Yeah.
10% difference, which over 10%, which I wasn't expecting. So I was feeling good at the bottom, and I
Yeah,
felt good all
quite
ride.
confident.
And I went as hard as I could, but that's what I had.
How did you feel? Like sick or
No,
full?
Didn't feel sick, didn't feel full. I felt good. I don't feel hungry at the moment. I feel like myself.
Do you feel like you could crack on and ride another 100k now?
I feel like I keep on ticking over,
Okay.
yeah, and not stop.
Uh,
But I just didn't have the legs to go super deep on the climb.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
maybe it's just the fact that I'm not that well trained at the moment, or I'm not the greatest cyclist, which is probably the reality.
Connor, don't be harsh on yourself.
But it's not, you know, we drew some conclusions there, but I think I have learnt a lot personally. I think I could definitely eat more on rides than I thought I could, and feel better and enjoy that ride as a result. It's not just about the pound numbers at the end of the day either.
I'd be quite interested to try what you did today on one of my rides as well, see how I deal with it as well.
Definitely, because I think the main takeaway is that I didn't, you know,
You weren't sick.
I didn't have to end the
poop
ride,
yourself.
which I thought I might have to. So it really shows that you can actually take on board way more than you ever thought possible,
Yeah.
which is it's interesting. Okay, wait, hold up, because before we fully draw conclusions, I thought it might be interesting to flash to the future now. It's the day after our long ride, and I thought I'd just share some of my experiences post-ride, mainly the fact I really wasn't that hungry and I felt good. I didn't need to have a huge dinner. Normally when I finish a ride like that, I have this kind of insatiable hunger, I just can't stop eating. Didn't have that, went to sleep, felt great. Woke up, had a normal breakfast, we're out on the bikes again today. And yeah, feeling quite well recovered.
That's interesting. I kind of felt, I got home, I felt pretty knackered, and I felt like I needed a big meal to replace all the energy that I'd lost. Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling a little bit fatigued as well, but yeah, it's really interesting, the difference. Would you normally feel really, really hungry after a ride?
Oh yeah, after a ride like that, in the end it was 130k for me.
Yeah.
So I was, I'd be looking to stuff my face, but yesterday just wasn't the case. I felt like I satisfied myself enough on the ride. So there you go. Let us know in the comment section down below if you've experimented with eating more carbs when you're out on the ride, or maybe you've realised you don't quite eat enough. And as always, thanks for watching the video. It was really interesting to take this experiment on and see how it all panned out. I think I've personally learned a lot that I'll take with me now into future rides. But I think now, Manon, may as well do another one. Come on, let's go!
Oh no, I haven't got it in me today.